Dostoyevsky was born and raised in Moscow by Russian Orthodox parents. His father, army doctor and an alcoholic of Harsh. Dostoyevsky attended military engineering school in St. Petersburg and upon grad entered government service as a draftsman. His first published work, Poor Folk, which brought him immediate critical and public recognition. His second novel, The Double, less agreeably received, shows a profound insight into human character. About this time, Dostoyevsky became involved with a group of radical Europeans. The discovery of the illegal printing press brought him his arrest. During this harrowing period, he suffered from great physical and mental pain. After several years of obligatory military service in Siberia, he was allowed to return to St. Petersburg. Financial troubles, combined with love affair and a passion for roulette, led to a nightmarish period in Germany, partly described in the short novel The Gambler, 1866. In 1864, his wife died, and in 1867, he married his young secretary. Throughout the years, he made works with humorless narrative style and amplification of sin and redemption. He died of a lung hemorrhage complicated by an attack of epilepsy.
The themes in the writings of Dostoyevsky encounter suicide, poverty, human manipulation, morality, wounded pride, and affirmation of Russia orthodoxy and Tsarism. Religious themes are found throughout his works, especially after his release from prison in 1854. He emphasized realism and naturalism in his novels. Dostoyevsky was an explorer of ideas, and he wanted to introduce the extraordinary into the very thick of the commonplace, to fuse the sublime with the grotesque and push images of everyday reality to the limits of the fantastic. He revived satire as a genre, combining comedy, fantasy, symbolism, adventure, and drama by investigating human nature. His characters tend to live in an unlimited, realistic world, beyond borders and limits.
The Idiot, a book written under immense pressure and during a painful episode of Dostoyevsky's life. Fyodor creates a hero perfectly beautiful. The result is Prince Mishkin, hero of the idiot. Don't be fooled by the title. He wasn't stupid, but rather just suffers from epilepsy, and his innocence and gentle nature tend to make him an outsider. Notes from the Underground is an extended rant against life and the world delivered by a retired civil servant, who is deeply unreasonable, inconsistent, and furious with everyone, including himself. He wants to puncture everyone's illusion and make them as unhappy as he is. With this book, Dostoyevsky is telling us how humans seek happiness but have a talent for making themselves miserable. The Karamazov Brothers. The story concerns three sons and their father. The murder and robbery of said father is the main driver of the plot. The story is full of subplots and side arcs, with the main plot unfolding very slowly. Dostoyevsky is concerned with developing relative characters, using their behavior and uncertainty to make general statements about the human condition in the face of depravity. Crime and Punishment. Here we meet an impoverished intellectual, Raskolnikov. He is a nobody fascinated by power and ruthlessness. He is desperate for money, so aristocratic superiority in mind, he decides to murder a pawnbroker to steal her cash. He is tormented by guilt and horror at what he has done. Eventually, he turns himself over to the police in order to face the proper punishment for his crime. We think we know ourselves better than we do. Raskolnikov thinks he's ruthless, but ends up being tender-hearted. That's why we need to step back from what we think we are to truly see ourselves. Dostoyevsky wants to reveal that beneath the so-called monster, there can be a nicer character underneath. It's very significant how Dostoyevsky gets us to like his murderous hero by showing similarities between you, a law-abiding person, and them, those who create horror.
Dostoyevsky is regarded as one of the finest novelists who've ever lived. His works are often called prophetic because he accurately predicted how Russia's revolutionaries would behave if they came to power. He became known as a writer who depicted extreme psychological states. Dostoyevsky profoundly affected the way that Russia would think of itself in the years following his death. One of the most important issues for Dostoyevsky at the time was the reconciliation of the peasant and noble classes in the aftermath of the self-emancipation in Russia. In Notes from the Underground, he was waging a war against shallow Occidentalists, didactic writers who were always extolling the wonders of the West. He has left a legacy of literature that makes him one of the world's greatest writers of the 19th century, inspired by what he saw in Russia or experienced himself.
Dostoyevsky's influence has been acclaimed by a wide variety of writers. American novelist Ernest Hemingway cited Dostoyevsky as a major influence on his work in his autobiographical novella A Movable Feast. Although Dostoyevsky was renowned for Crime and Punishment, the author contributed other famous literary works. He was known for his ability to show the reality of the Russian people and their struggles within his writing. Dostoyevsky, through his tragic characters, continues to impose upon his readers timeless principles of vision and hope and a renewed outlook for the human experience.